In this video, we'll be comparing the Zeiss Planar ZE 50mm f1.4 with the Minolta MD Rokkor-X 50mm f1.4. The Zeiss ZE is a little more modern than my Minolta, but both lenses are superbly built. Let's take a look. As we've already seen, Minolta lenses are an incredible bargain when it comes to price to performance. They're relatively inexpensive and compete with some of the best lenses out on the market. You can expect to spend about $100 for a good Minolta Rokkor, whereas the Zeiss Planar ZE 50mm f1.4 costs about $725 brand new and about $500 used. Both lenses are built exceptionally well. The Zeiss Planar T is built completely out of metal, which is a lot heavier and bigger than the compact Minolta Rokkor, made out of both metal and plastic. The focus rings on both lenses are incredibly smooth, but the Zeiss Planar T feels a little bit better, with a more even resistance and longer throw. It's important to note here that the Minolta lens is entirely manual with an adjustable aperture ring, whereas the Zeiss ZE lens that I'm using for this comparison has an electronic aperture adjustment. For this test, I used a Metabones Canon EF to micro four thirds speed booster for the Zeiss Planar lens, and a Fotasy Minolta MD to micro four thirds adapter for the Rokkor. The Metabones adapter widens the focal length 0.71 times, increases the maximum aperture by 1 stop, and increases the overall sharpness, which should provide the Zeiss lens with a significant advantage over the Minolta MD. It's apparent from my test that the Planar ZE is much sharper at wider apertures than the Minolta MD. Yet on every test, the Minolta MD improves dramatically at f2.8 and above, and the differences between the two lenses become almost negligible. I was really surprised to see this significant improvement. Overall, the Zeiss Planar lens handles itself much better in bright environments due to its anti-flare coating on the front lens element. This creates a much higher contrast at wider apertures, making the image appear much sharper. Without an anti-flare coating, the Rokkor allows more light to enter the lens, creating less contrast and a significant vignetting effect that doesn't correct itself until stopped down to f4 and above. Another thing to consider is the bokeh produced by both lenses. The Rokkor has 6 aperture blades as opposed to the Zeiss's 9 blades. Against the right background and under proper lighting conditions, you will not notice a difference, but sometimes the Rokkor can create hexagonal shapes within the bokeh of an image. Overall, the bokeh of the Zeiss lens appears much smoother and more pleasing. I'd have to say the Zeiss Planar ZE seems to perform much better overall than the Minolta MD Rokkor. However, if it's not that important to you to have a sharp lens below f2.8, then the Minolta MD is a much better investment in my opinion. Click on the links provided to learn more about these lenses, and as always, feel free to subscribe and visit filmformat.com for more filmmaking reviews and tutorials from yours truly. Thanks for watching.